This is my TR4131 spectrum analyzer, which, although is showing a graticule and details on screen, of which the details do update when the controls are operated, making me think that at least part of the display is working, but there's no frequency scanning, no span at all. No frequency is shown. It's not being swept. Now I've no details on this TR4131, nothing at all, no user manual, no block diagram, no schematic. I've had a look inside, reseated all the boards, had a look at them, can't see anything obvious. So what I've done, I've connected the first low output from the TR4131 into my other spectrum analyzer, and I've set the start frequency of 4 gig and the end frequency, well, the stop frequency is at the maximum of this, which is 6.5 gigahertz. Unfortunately can't go higher on this one, sorry about the glare. So we do have a trace and it is sweeping, which makes me think that the sweep generator is working on the TR4131, but the trace is, I notice, is changing in amplitude. Looks a bit erratic at the moment. So what I'm going to do is slow down this sweep so that we can see this trace better. That's now on a half-second sweep time. The amplitude is decreasing as the sweep goes higher in frequency. I don't know whether that's normal. Perhaps someone can tell me. I'm no expert on spectrum analyzers, and my field is radio communication, but I always use the test sets, like the 2955, which I've got down there. This is a 0.2 second sweep, and try a bit slower. Going the wrong way, sorry about that. Now we can see that sweep, and I'm satisfied that it's sweeping properly as far as frequency goes, although we did have we do get a blip when it restarts the trace. I'm not sure whether that should be happening. I'm now going to reduce the span on the TR4131 down to 2 gigahertz. And so I think the start frequency now that we're in focus, it's a higher mixed frequency coming out of the first low. I'm not sure the exact detail of that. But it seems to be correct operation for the control on the TR4131. If I reduce the span down to 1 gigahertz, you can see that now we're spanning from a much higher frequency and going off the screen because this spectrum analyzer can't go above 6.5 gigs. Now, some strange anomaly with this TR4131, although I don't know whether it will represent itself the same because I haven't got the termination in for the low, for the first low, as it should be in. But if I change the reference level, which is now at 40 dBm, and I lower it 30, 20, 10, 0, minus 10, and minus 20, we get a trace which goes across, which doesn't make any any sense to me. And there's no input to this. If I reduce more to minus 30 dBm, everything stops and I'm simply left with this trace here. Go lower, minus 40, no change, and still no change at minus 50. Bring it up again, when we get to minus 20, same thing happens. If I go up again, it sweeps across and it's all gone. Now, if I change the input attenuator, which is on 10 dB at the moment, won't go any lower after the control, but if I go up to 20 dB, we get that trace back. Which is like when we change the reference level. So I imagine it's on minus 10 here, and it's on 20 there. So I imagine that if we change that to minus 20, and then change this back to 10 dB, we'll get that same trace. There we go. I'm not sure what's going on, but that's the strange thing about this. Now we're on a very low sweep time, and if I increase that sweep, you'll see there, sorry, going the wrong way again. You see the kind of trace I'm getting, just crazy, and it's off the top and bottom of the screen, and there's no input, no signal input to this spectrum analyzer. So let's bring the sweep time down again. And it stops. So it seems to do that if I change the reference, the attenuator, or the sweep. And I have no idea why. I'm not changing the now changing the video filter down to 100 Hertz, 10 Hertz, no change. Take it back up, and once you get past 10 kilohertz, which I assume is 20 kilohertz, let me get this display again and go in. I'm pressing the button here, but I'm not sure what the limit is, so I'm not sure whether it's actually going higher, and maybe not. So if anyone has any idea what's going on, because I don't, not yet. I'm thinking that that the display control board surely is working, because we've got these details which do change. We can see them change. So I'm no expert, as I said earlier, on spectrum analyzers. What I'm going to do next is see if I can get an output from the second local oscillator. Okay, I've now connected the spectrum analyzer to the second local oscillator, and going off the information for the R4131, it says the second local oscillator should be 3.77 gigahertz, and we have almost that figure, 3.768 gigahertz. I put the marker on and it's reading minus 16 dBm. Now the R4131 gives the output of the second low as being greater than minus 5 dBm, so I'm not sure whether this should be the same, as I don't have any details for the TR4131. But it looks to me as if the first and second local oscillators are within spec. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking they're working okay. So the problem with no display, and no frequency display, and there's no X or Y display. If I put the calibration signal in, it doesn't read anything. doesn't show any spectrum. I've now put the calibration frequency into the input, and there's no output whatsoever. Cannot get an output.